Today we're going to see if this world can colonize this world. The entire solar system getting colonized by every single nation. 95% of you guys aren't subscribed, so if you want to see more videos like this, which I'll be posting every single day, please subscribe. Very interesting. There's 197 of these guys, and quickly, I'm assuming everyone's going to start fighting against each other, and they're all going to go down, but really what matters is the actual colonization of the solar system. We'll see who gets to take over the moon first, and it looks like it's going to be China, Russia, and India. I mean, it kind of makes sense, and the United States. Crazy. Almost all these huge nations are doing it, but there also are a couple other ones. Like, I'm assuming all of those nations have a lot more land out here in the solar system that they can conquer stuff, but we will really see it. Israel's here, Japan's here, Turkey. A lot of people are here, and I guess there's going to be a lot of stuff going down in the actual world map here, even though it is very much not to scale. It does not look good, honestly, at all, but it is what it is, because that's not the real prize of it. The real prize of it is the rest of the world, and the moon looks very, very split here. I'd say, honestly, there really could be any number of winners here in the moon's area, but there's still also a lot of other land technically to go. Like, I don't know what planets these are supposed to be, but you know, these are all planets. This is definitely Jupiter. This is Saturn. Okay, so those are those ones. This is probably, I guess, Mars, Venus, Mercury. So I'm just hoping to see one of these other nations get a piece of the land here, because that's really going to decide who wins this game, by who can start colonizing these lands the quickest. They're moving extremely slow to get to these lands, so I'd say, yeah, the United States is probably not going to get. China looks like they're going to be the quickest one into Mars, but I mean, it really could be anyone here, and just, you have to keep your land at home also doing well, so I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see who is the best here, but the UAE also might have a big stake here. Israel also is doing pretty well in their own right, but I'd say, honestly, at this point, it looks like all the big nations are doing their big nations thing. This is, to me, as I believe, China. So China is doing well. The United States also is doing well. They're also on Mars right now, and it looks like the first nation to get to Venus will be France, but the United States looks very much on their asses next as well. But right now the leader is Russia, but I mean, any of these nations could really win. All that matters is the colonization of the rest of the world. Technically, there's a lot of stuff going down here, but who cares? Because all that matters is, like, the UAE. They're a tiny nation out there, but now they have a lot of land in a whole different planet. Like, they now have a lot of land in a whole different, area than they'd expect. And Japan is also doing extremely well to, it looks like, get down to some of the gas giants and colonize a lot of the land down here. So that's going to be really interesting. But China is doing a great job on Mars itself, and they're also colonizing at the same time Mercury. And I believe this is all, this is Canada. So Canada is hitting Mercury, and then China's on Venus and Mars. And there's also France here as well. France looks to be doing pretty well. Russia looks solid as well. But yeah, the UAE looks really good for being the UAE. Like, they are in 6th place at the moment. So they're doing really solid for, being the UAE and being like a tiny little nation. But whoever can really get to these gas giants first is just going to start rolling. Because, if you can get to a gas giant, you're just going to start to kind of clean up this entire map. But honestly, let's just take a look in on this original Earth map. I mean, it kind of looks the same. It's like Hungary's kind of a little bit bigger, and like the Central African Republic's bigger. And like, I guess some nations are bigger, and like the United States is not doing well. Cuba's taking them out. But the United States has so much land on other planets, it doesn't really matter. So I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see if a smaller nation like the UAE can just start to roll, because they have they're not confined to just their own little home planet. I don't know. And Israel too is also somehow doing kind of well. Japan has finally hit the gas giants, and also it looks like Russia, not the US. Okay, that is very interesting, but I'd say whoever this is, which is Japan, is clearly looking the best for, oh, this is India. Oh my God, this is India. So India is colonizing, starting the gas giants planets. And then it looks like Japan is going to be the first one to hit Saturn. The United States Israel, I guess, looks to be the first one to hit Jupiter. So it's going to be very interesting to see who really comes out on top, because all of this stuff is happening and Chile is looking really good there. But like, does that matter to the total statistics? Not really. Like, Chile's not even on here. Canada looks amazing. Now they're colonizing the sun somehow. I don't know how that's working, but they're colonizing a lot. And yeah, I don't know. This is very interesting because you have a lot of nations that, wouldn't be doing that well on planet Earth. And now they're going kind of crazy out here. Like you have, Russia, the United States, India, all doing well out here. You have Israel doing way better than they should be doing for a tiny nation. They're somehow colonizing the cosmos. And you have just a ton of places doing, way better than I would have thought. Canada is doing somehow really well. They're clearly doing the best here because they took all of Mercury and the sun to themselves. And they have I guess they don't have any land anywhere else, but they have 2 whole planets, I guess, just all to themselves. And technically they're still going other places. I don't really know what's going on, but I guess Russia I'm confused on who else was over here, but whoever else was over here is not doing well. Japan is still doing solid, but I mean, India is really just putting the pressure on in some of these planets down here. So it's going to be very interesting to see who can eventually take over all these. Japan is doing well, but I feel like a lot worse than they should be doing. India is really looking to take over first place. Russia is still doing solid. The United States has been doing honestly pretty poorly. They are against Russia at the moment. I'm confused because India is their puppet, or are they the puppet of India? Yeah, I guess India has the United States as a puppet. Very interesting because India is not even in their own land. Kazakhstan has basically taken over the entire globe of Earth. I mean, they're clearly doing the best in the earthen area, but the rest of the solar system, clearly I'd say India is doing the best. It is very close between India and Israel only has land on one single planet here. So that to me is really interesting, where it's like Israel just has a little slice of one planet and they're almost as big as India, and India has Saturn all to themselves. And they have also a lot of some of the other gas giants too. So I think India really looks like they're in first place here, but there could be so many other nations that could somehow pull it off. But I think India, I mean, clearly they look better than almost every other nation here. Israel looks solid as well. So we're going to see, because all the nations that don't have a foothold on another planet, besides maybe Kazakhstan, are just all going to get steamrolled in the coming years. The United States was really looking like a top powerhouse, and they've just been slowly bleeding and burning and losing that land. So it's very disappointing to be them, but just the United States not doing it. Very interesting. I'd say honestly, Canada is in a great spot as well. They've just been slowly building up more reserves of money. Israel, they haven't really done much, honestly, at this point. They do have the UAE as a puppet, and they're fighting now for Jupiter and for Mars at the moment against China, but I feel like there hasn't been any major massive moves. Russia now is the largest player on Earth, but I feel like there hasn't really been much movement elsewhere. I mean, right here. Oh, wow, there's so much going on. Oh my God. I was just trolling about there being so much going on, but now Israel is dead, and Israel was the strongest nation besides India, and they're just going to be eating massive amounts of land, especially from China here. China just went crazy. Japan also got a ton of land as well. So we're going to see how it shakes out. China is now number 2, Japan number 3. That's all because Israel, the number 2, just died. And there's also technically no one colonizing this land here. That's very, very weird, I guess. I don't know how that's happening, but I guess there's just some uncolonized land, technically. It looks like in the Canada somehow is not in Canada at all, but they're in China and India, and they're now about to take out Russia from at least the original Earth map. But I guess Russia probably has some land elsewhere. I mean, we'll see. But yeah, if you lose your land, I believe, all on the Earth map, you lose all the land everywhere. So it's not going to help you if you just have a bunch of land on some of these planets and you don't have any actual established position in the like realm of the Earth area, because that's where all the cities are. So your power might come from some of these other solar systems. Like, look at that. China just went down to Russia, and now Japan is going crazy. They have all of Jupiter to themselves, and now Kenya is fighting against Canada, and Kenya is going crazy right now. Oh my God. This is kind of insane. France is doing well. Russia is still kind of doing okay. I mean, they're not looking good over here, but Japan is just looking insane because they have a lot of land in Jupiter. And there is the UAE going down. Rest in peace, soldier. And now the US is looking, I'd say, a lot stronger, but they're just getting destroyed on Earth. Like, they're getting destroyed crazily on Earth. But the US does survive. This is the Netherlands. The Netherlands just become a random power here. Russia is still looking solid. They still have a lot of land to go, but it just seems like every nation on Earth. Wow, Kenya just got conquered. I'm going to zoom in a little bit onto Earth because this is where the action is going down. There's a lot of stuff going down here. This is India. This is the Netherlands. And Japan does not have anything on the actual planet. I believe I don't know where Japan is. Maybe these are I'm so confused where Japan is, because Japan is one of the strongest nations here. And okay, they only have these little islands up here. So their entire empire is just these little islands up here. So if anyone takes them out, that's all that matters. Canada looking pretty solid. Russia versus France, nothing's happening on the actual planet itself. And yeah, what if Japan goes down? That would be kind of crazy. And it could happen. Wow. It really could happen. Brazil could take out Japan. They just take out these. They don't. Malta, I guess, was conquered by the United States. Not really much is going on in the actual world map. I mean, I'm assuming there's probably some fighting going on here, but the majority of the actual like establishment fighting has to be going on out here. And Japan is just somehow doing way better than I would have expected for just having this little land. Just this is their entire lifestyle is right here and dependent on these couple cities surviving. If they don't, they're done. But I mean, they're somehow surviving. They're very much somehow surviving. And okay, France goes down. France just died to the United States. So there is, I guess, a little bit of land over here that Russia and the US will take over, but not really that crazy of a defeat there. But yeah, Japan is just somehow surviving. They just got so little land and they're pulling it off. And this is the United States. It's always so funny to look at this Earth map here because the United States is all in Europe. Russia is kind of in their own land, but they're also all over Africa. The Netherlands is in South America and North America. Canada is still technically in their own place, but they also own all of East Asia. It's just such a weird mess of nations that just are not in the right spot. Like Japan also owns Australia. So very, very interesting. Vietnam is somehow a solar system, amazing country, and just very interesting to see how some of these nations survive. And something like Vietnam, I feel like should easily go down. There's Japan. Japan just got conquered by Vietnam. So right now there is a ton of land to scoop up in Jupiter for China. Oh no, it's Canada. Very interesting. So Canada is going to be the one to scoop up all the land, but Canada doesn't really have, well, I guess they have a pretty large presence in Eastern Asia, but like I'd say honestly the biggest power here has to be Canada, just because of how big they are in East Asia. Like, look at all these cities they have. Someone has to take out all of these different cities here to win it. The Netherlands is still doing well. India, I don't know where they are. Like, India is technically the owner of the United States, and they have just these lands. I'm confused on where their cities are, but I guess they're still alive. They still have a ton of land and technically are one of the strongest nations, but it is just a little weird when there really isn't that much land on the actual thing, and they could die at basically any moment. I think that is more the scary thing, because if India dies, it really is going to be a Canadian game, and look at how much is happening in the actual Earth here. Basically, it's just Netherlands and Canada on the actual Earth map, but everywhere else, it all looks pretty solid to me. India is still doing extremely well somehow. The United States still looks fine, and I say that, and they get conquered by Canada immediately after. Russia is still somehow alive. I don't know how that's even happening, but yeah, Canada clearly is the strongest nation here, and it's going to be basically, I'd say, almost impossible for Canada to lose this game. They have it in the bag right here. Can they pull it off? I would very much say I assume so, but like, look, the Netherlands is dying, and it's Canada taking all the land. Canada has almost 90% of the land, I'd say, on the actual Earth map itself. So while they haven't been doing the most colonizing, to say the least, they have been doing a lot of land on Earth and basically have controlled all the land there. And the United Kingdom is dead, so there are only 5 nations left. And I'd say there's really only one other major player besides Canada, and that is India. And I'd say, honestly, at this point, they have to start fighting against each other, and there has to be a winner here between the two of them, because they really are the 2 strongest nations left. And I guess India has no money left at this point. Canada still has some money left, but yeah, wherever India's home is, okay, Russia goes down to Canada. So yeah, it is left to 2 different nations between India or Canada, because technically there still are Vietnam and the Netherlands left. But look at the entire map. 70,000 of the land, there's 80,000 land here, and half it's Canadian, half it's Indian, and India is going to continue to do better. So India really just has to make a huge push on the Canadians' land out here, but that doesn't look like that's going to happen, honestly. I feel like there's no way that Vietnam does anything. India still has just really weird, like, I don't understand where their actual cities are. I guess this is the city they have. They have 1 city left, and is this city right here, New Kuala Lumpur. So they just have to hold that 1 city, and Canada has a lot more cities to protect, but it seems very unlikely that Canada loses all their cities, and it seems a lot more likely that India loses their 1 city they have left. So I think it makes a lot of sense to just have these guys fight to the death. They are the last 2 nations left. And while the Netherlands and Vietnam are technically still 2 nations left, they're not really going to be of any consequence in the actual ending of these wars. So fight to death. Come on. Let me have you guys fight to the death. Honestly, I'd say it's very likely it's going to be Canada here, but I could be proven wrong at any time. And India does seem to be making the initial gains. I guess this is the Netherlands. So the Netherlands is also fighting against Canada at the exact same time. But yeah, India's losing every single thing they got from these initial fights at the beginning, and just slowly getting taken away from them. Does not look good for India at all. And yeah, I don't know. They have 0 money left. Canada still has 5,000, even though they have 1 army strength. They're just going to slowly move through India's lands. I mean, we will see if India eventually does get just fully eaten up. They still have to lose this 1 city, which is so far away from any other land that I don't think is going to get taken for a while. But still, like, the fact that they only have 1 city left is not a good look. And the fact that they have 0 money left and are at 1 army strength just does not look good for their future hopes. And I mean, I'd assume Canada is going to win this all, but yeah, we will have to see. They're just losing a lot of land on Saturn. Rest in peace to India here. Does not look good for their future, but like, they had to start fighting against Canada or, we wouldn't have a winner here. But I very much do think that India played an amazing game. Just the fact that they only had land outside of the Earth kind of shows that they were kind of cooked from the beginning. Canada was clearly the strongest nation. They just had a vice grip on like the Earth itself, and then they just kind of started taking over the other planets after having a pretty solid like head start on some of the planets as well. So yeah, we will see. India still is out of money, and it looks like Canada will officially just take over all their land once they take out Saturn and this other planet. I'm just going to officially call it because, yeah, I was going to say I don't think there's any way they don't win. But yeah, Canada does win it all. Vietnam technically is still here, but I believe they're a puppet of Canada. So Canada has won this. They have colonized the entire solar system minus some of this part, but they will eventually colonize it all. And yeah, Canada colonized the entire solar system.